Welcome to my O-gauge layout. This this layout is about three 3.5 feet wide by about 8 feet long, and it's about 5 feet off the ground. So I wanted a realistic operation where I could sit on a stool or stand and be relatively close to eye level without impinging on the reach too much. The overall layout is kind of done in a high rail style, since I find myself incapably capable of doing grass mat type 50s type post-war layout scenery. I ended up going a bit more realistic, as I've done with the smaller scales. So the layout uses a combination of accessories. You can see here is a modern diner and a modern searchlight tower. Yet there's a post-war water tank and the switch tower in the background there. And then next to the train here, we have a American Flyer station. And then down in the town area here, we're using a Lionel power station and Lionel villas from the pre-war era, along with the American Flyer pre-war post-war station platform. And we're going for a realistic mix of pre-war, post-war equipment. Over here in our yard area here, we got an American Flyer water tank, and then I have kit bashed a Lionel engine house from the early 1970s, and turned it into a factory. We have a MPC box car turned into a storage shed, and then we have a MPC gantry crane. As also right in front here is a repurposed, repainted Mark's tank car shell turned into a make it look like a fuel tank. And even with the Lionel diner back here, I repainted the base and added some shrubbery. The layout itself is powered by, we have a Lionel TW transformer on the powering the upper level. And while they originally seemed to be okay as far as wattage, but a TW now shows it being 175 watts, has two 90-watt cores. It's great for a single train layout with a lot of accessories, which worked well for here, and that was I thought originally. However, 90-watt core is really too little for a larger steamer and lighted passenger cars, which frequently would bring it to his knees. So eventually, I do want to get like a Lionel Legacy Powermaster Powerhouse combination, so something larger. In addition, I do have a Lionel Base 3 command unit I will want to interface those Powermasters to allow me to do remote control through the app they have for the conventional power. I do have one command engine and one Bluetooth engine that also can use the Base 3 as is. And then also I have MRC a power pack, AC power pack running the lower level. The lower level is basically sized, and its clearances are sized for pre-war trains, early pre-war trains, Mark's, American Flyer, Ives, like the one is running tonight is an Ives train from the 1920s. And the O-gauge train featured here is one of my I would say kit bashes. Ironically, I did see a video here recently of a Northern Pacific log train with a Jeep 9 on the front, these log cars like this, and the caboose. The log cars here are all post-war junkers, both helium tankers, 3363s and 3364 flat cars, junk cars mixing the dump parts and the loads, which I just took, stripped the paint off as much as possible, or the lettering, and then added some plastic I-beams and angle iron and some styrene planks to resemble as much as possible Northern Pacific log cars, and then these were painted up and decaled with the appropriate numbers. The caboose here is actually a Lionel woodside caboose cut down to a prototypical 24-foot length for Northern Pacific caboose. It actually took only one cut, especially since the window and the cupola spacing was actually about pretty close to right on. So this was also decaled with some actually tender decals, because there is a lack of decals available in O scale right now. Like the rocks here are actually mixture of mountains, minutes, rocks. Some are solid, but some are solid, but some are actually like um, they're actually like foam, like you'd find in your sofa. They're actually a very soft foam, and some are hard urethane foam. These were glued to a cardboard matrix and had sculpted molten plaster to feather them into the scenery, and then they were all painted, and then we had sorted static grass and ground foams like that added to the the rest of them. And the same thing goes with our forest here. Mind you, some of the cats unfortunately get into the forest occasionally and bend some trees over. It's hard to keep them out of it. And then I have a number of accessories here. Again, like the bridge, usually just an MPC bridge. The bridge in the foreground here is a couple of kit bash short extension bridges into a longer bridge. And then I repainted a post-war girder bridge there to represent that truss. Then it's a mixture of modern era piers and parts, things like that, to get it to fit, and like for our tunnels and our cut and cover tunnels here. Walk down to the end here. Here we actually have, where the gantry crane, I guess, scrap rail. I took a Plasticville motor home and repainted it, make it look a bit closer to that being the garish plastics. And they've added a numerous amounts of, hand-built, scratch-built loading docks, 3D printed parts like his barrels and crates, things like that. I picked up at York the last time I went. And overall, in the layout itself is pretty well completed. Mind you, there's some figures and in aforementioned legacy Power Master units.